We should speak to every brother we pass every day on the street, just to let each other know that we're valued.
Hello, everyone. This is Tim Brown, author of the book Boys Won't Be Boys. And as part of my YouTube series, doing a series on mentoring and particularly mentoring the next generation. And so I'm blessed to have with me today Brother Jesse Jackson, who's been a stalwart in this Columbus community for years, but he's from Cleveland, so we want to make sure we get that right. You know, he's a
Yeah.
Cleveland guy, and the Browns are winning, and everybody's happy. Make sure we get that right. But he's been in Columbus for a while, educator, coach, all those things that have helped make the community better. So, Brother Jack, you want to introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about you and your family, and just how you end up in Columbus.
Well, first of all, good morning, man, and thanks for allowing me to be here this morning. Uh, Jesse Jackson grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. Um, Attended Glenville High School, class of '71. Left there and went to a place a lot of people don't know about named Defiance College, the Defiance College,
Yeah.
up in Northwest Ohio, and went there, wound up there basically because of an academic scholarship. So they gave me the money, so I went. Um, 4 years there, uh, elementary education major, graduated, left there, and got a job in Canton, Ohio.
Hmm.
Taught there for 10 years. And then a good friend of mine named Bruce Carter, who was a head coach at Marion Franklin High School back in from '85. He started in '85. We were very good friends. He was my mentor there in Canton, and he asked me to come down and coach, join his staff at Marion Franklin, and me and my wife agreed, and we moved on down, and we got here in Columbus in '85.
Oh, good, good, good. How was that experience? As that kind of began your coaching journey.
You know, it was a real big part of it because, you know, at the time, Cam McKinley was one of the powerhouses in the state of Ohio when it comes to football. And they had a huge program. You know, back then they were providing equipment for kids, you know, doing laundry. You know, they had a program.
Yeah.
So to start my coaching in such a high profile program, I learned a lot quickly. And that served me well. And I was around some good coaches. Um, and you know, like I said, I learned a whole lot.
That's good. That's good. I know you had a successful career coaching here, but what I want to really focus in on today is, as well as getting men to understand, we also have, not only do we coach other men or young boys, but we also coach our family. We're also the leaders of our family, you know, and I know you're blessed to have, and I know you have three sons. Do you have any daughters as well?
Yeah, my daughter's the oldest.
Okay. Okay.
I have a
So
daughter and then the three boys.
yeah, yeah, and I know that, and just and I know a little bit about your family. Well, actually, I know a lot about your family. Just watching them grow up and to the fine young people that they are today. Can you talk about how important it is for men to be that example to their children? You know that things start first in the home.
You know, I was blessed to always have my father in the home. And the amazing part, him and my mom never married, but they were together for over 45 years.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, he was there every day. And you know, I really I raised my kids the way he raised me and my brother and my sister. You know, that's who I followed his game plan.
Yeah.
You know, we all turned out okay, so
Oh
I figured
yeah.
that was the way to go.
All right.
Uh, and you know, he taught us to be committed and to be responsible. He wasn't he's a big man, but he wasn't a physical guy on us. You know, he was the kind of guy to give you the look.
Right. Right. Right.
You knew what to do.
Yeah.
You know, it was that type of thing. And like I said, he, you know, we did chores because we were part of the family. not so much because we had an allowance or anything coming, but certain things you did around the house because you were part of the family.
Right.
And and then other things you were asked to do, you got your allowance. That's how you earned your little, back in the day, your $1 or $2 a week, you
Right.
know. Uh, but that was the thing. I had my dad to look at it. Then I had a great coach that I started playing with when I was about 8, named King Thompson. He was another great man who taught a lot of the same things my dad taught. So what I heard from my dad, I also heard from King Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
And he he's the guy who introduced me to Black history and to eating right and all those kind of things as a coach. So so growing up, those were the two male anchors, in my life.
Yeah, I think that's important what you just said. The fact that the coach just kind of reiterated what you saw at home. He just kind of added to what dad was the model, and then coach just kind of made it real for you, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think that's the key to raising kids. And I think that's one of the problems today. Too many parents want to be the only influence on their children,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really a village activity. You gotta get your kids around other men, especially boys. You gotta
Mm-hmm.
get them around other men who are saying the same thing that you're saying. They need to hear it from more than just you.
Right. That's
So
good. I always ask men, and this is really for single mothers, is looking for a mentor. What kind of qualities should they look for in a man, in a mentor, so to speak?
I mean, what kind of man do you want your son to be?
Mm.
And I think that's what you look for. I've always tried to be fair, consistent, and
Mm-hmm.
honest. I think about those three things with young men, they accept it well.
Mm-hmm.
They really respect the fact that, if you fair, consistent, and honest with them, you know, they buy in.
Yeah, that's good. I'm looking back there and I see that Jackson name behind you, and in the book I talk about how important the family name is. Can you talk about the Jackson name and how important that is?
Well, that's is an interesting story behind that. Like I told you, my mom and dad was never married.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom's married name before she met my dad was Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really a Jackson. I'm
Okay.
actually a Rowell, Rowell. That's
All right.
my daddy's name. That's my
Oh,
daddy's family name.
okay.
My mom's family name is Parks.
Oh, wow.
So I always tell my kids that, we starting a whole new line
Right.
here with this Jackson thing, because,
Right.
you know, and, I always thought about changing my name, but, I just never got around to it. I think I played on the benefits of being Jesse Jackson.
Oh yeah, yeah. I play on that with Tim Brown, the Heisman Trophy winner from Notre Dame.
Yeah, there's some benefits there that you run into. But the thing is, though, that, we hold the name up high, and we teach the kids, you respect that name, because when you do things, you know, you also represent us.
Mhm.
And our sons were taught that you're a Jackson. So when you're out in the community, in school, wherever, you know, you're representing the whole family, not just yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a conversation with your youngest son, Kareem, and he shared how everywhere he went, I know your dad. You look just like your dad. So he said there's nothing he could do. He just couldn't get away from that, which is a good thing. And I tell young men in the book I talk about, not only do you have to a couple things you got to do with your name. You got to protect your name, number one, and then but also you have to add value to the name. you know
Yep.
that it's your turn to add value to the name, because others before you have built this name. I tell my boys, I wasn't the first Brown. It's other Browns. We have Uncle Austin, Uncle Desmond, all those Browns. But my job was to protect the name, and for my generation was to add value. Now it's your turn, to add value to the name. Because back in our day, you always known by who's your family, who's your people. You know, ain't nobody talking about you. They won't know who your family is.
Who
Who's your
you be?
daddy? you know,
Yep.
we kind of joke about that, but you and I, we take that serious, you know, because we want to be that. We're that model because we are that. So how would you say that? And I know you guys. One of the things that you guys have done from a legacy standpoint is the Jackson Sports Academy. Can you talk about that and what the goal of that is? And
Well, when we started it, um, actually it was Kareem's uh, idea. He came to me one day and said, "Dad, I want to work with young people," and he wanted to coach. He decided that's something that he wanted to do. So he said, "I want to start an academy where not only do we, teach athletic sports skills, but also we want to teach entrepreneurship, scholarship, finance." So we had about a list of about 10 items we also wanted to teach along with the athletics. So he came up with a plan where we would meet. We were meeting like once a month with a group of young people, and we started off with basketball. And we wanted to start off with a group of kids who were trying to decide if they wanted to get involved in the sport.
mhm.
And there's also parents trying to decide if they want to make the investment in their children in some of these sports. You know, do I want to throw in $250 for my kid to play AAU and they may not even enjoy it? It's their first year. So what we did, we set up a workout where we pushed them kind of hard, but we took them through drills that they would have to learn if they wanted to play middle school basketball, or if they wanted to play high school basketball as a freshman. So we introduced them to these basic drills, pushed them hard with some cardio,
Right, right.
and then we would break, and then we would have these classroom sessions. So so that was our basic idea, and we had planned on doing it with basketball, and then also with some track and field. Um, but what happened was we got cut short with it because he began coaching at Afrocentric with us, and we just didn't have time to do it during excuse me, during the basketball season.
Mhm.
So we sort of put it on the back burner for now because both of us coaching at the high school just doesn't give us the time to do it.
Yeah.
And but the one thing that we have continued is our scholarship. So each year we give out a $500 scholarship uh, to a Columbus senior. Um, and when we were doing it, we keeping our price down. So we were charging maybe about $10 a session per kid,
Mhm.
something that parents could afford. And again, we really wanted to help kids know if this is something that they want to do.
Yeah, and I think that's important. And I think earlier we had talked about helping children find what their passion is, you know, because everybody's passion, like you said, may not be sports. They may have a passion in science and the arts, you know, and medicine, science. You never know,
Yeah,
engineering, all those opportunities.
we had a couple kids that came more for the classroom session than they did for the basketball session.
Right, right.
So and then again, we have parents who, especially dads, who want their sons to play basketball because they love playing basketball,
Right.
or they didn't have the opportunity to be the basketball player that they wanted to be. So they sort of push the kids in that direction, and sometimes that's not, like you said, that's not their passion.
Mhm. I know that you're big on how important history is, you know, particularly Black history, how important that is. Uh, can you speak to that a little bit about why that's so important in the development of a young boy? You know, how important that is to know their history.
Well, I always talk to guys when I coach them is about who they are and whose they are.
Hmm.
And I remember the first day that King Thompson, King was a special man because in the middle of practice, he would stop practice, sit us in the bleachers, and then he would give us a little lesson on history. And I remember the first time he did it, again, I was about 8 or 9, and he told me, your history doesn't start with slavery.
Mm.
Says, we got to go all the way back to ancient Africa where these kings and queens and, where we ruled and we created. And I remember him telling them, I'm going, wow, nobody ever told me this,
Right.
you know. So he was that kind of guy, and he would sometime at the end of practice, he would set us in the bleachers, give us a little history lesson about a certain, Mansa Musa, somebody like that. So that's where I got my foundation of African American history. Um, but getting back to your question, is the fact is that you don't know where you're going if you don't know where you're coming from.
Mm.
You know,
Good.
and again, our public schools have done such a great job of making us believe that our history starts with slavery,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't know the greatness that we come from. When I used to teach math, I used to tell our kids, man, math is in your genetics. You
Right.
created that.
Right.
So we're not going to struggle with math because it's something foreign to us, you know. So same thing with sciences. We know science, we created science.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it gives kids the right mindset, and it gives them the power to it gives them opportunity to empower themselves in dealing with this educational piece and also this identity piece.
Yeah, I think that's so important when you know who you are, and like you said, whose you are. When you have that, now you can be confident.
Yep.
In knowing that you are somebody, so to speak. That there's something great inside of you, and I believe as mentors, when we're around young men, we had an opportunity to pull that out of them.
Pull that out.
To remind them, who
Because
they
some
are.
kids don't know it's there.
Right.
You got to remind them it's there. It's
Yeah.
inside you. You got to go down there and find it.
Yeah.
And we talk about whose they are. Every year we try to do an Ancestor Festival. And we call it Ancestral Festival because what we do is we come together as a family and as a community, because people outside our family also attend. We have them bring pictures, and we all just tell stories about our ancestors.
Wow.
So, my family gets to learn about their family. There's some real wild stories
Right. Right.
that we got to pass down. I had an uncle that had chance to be one of the Little Rascals. But he was afraid to go and audition because my mom was the oldest of the siblings, and he wouldn't go without her, and she was in school.
Uh-huh.
So when they came to audition him, he wouldn't go.
Yeah.
And so I had, so you had an uncle that was talented like that.
Right.
So, my oldest son, the DJ, needed to know that. That's in our family,
Right.
that kind of talent. So, I had a great uncle who was a great high jumper in high school, So they need to hear these kind of stories. I had a aunt that was a great nurse, and my daughter is now works in that field.
Mm.
So they need to hear those stories and know that, there's people in front of them that's done these things that they want to do.
Right. No, that's good. That's good. What advice would you, what challenge would you issue to men as far as the importance of mentoring this next generation?
Right now, I think there's a real issue with us valuing ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We have to begin to see ourselves as something of great value. And we have, it starts with something as basic as when I go to the grocery store and I walk by a brother and we don't even make eye contact
Mm-hmm.
and able to speak to each other. I mean, we should speak to every brother we pass every day on the street, just to let each other know that we're valued.
Yeah.
And so that's part of it. And it goes up to a whole part of us, people hate this term, but black on black crime. We got to stop killing each other.
Mm-hmm.
We got to start finding value in our lives
Mm-hmm.
and understanding that.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
So, I mean, I think that's the basic foundation. That's the first thing I would throw out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a challenge. So I want to thank you for being that one. And you talk about each one, reach one. But I believe you reach more than just one, and those ones you have reached. I know as you look back over your career, you have all kinds of stories of guys you've coached, guys you've been in contact, how well they're doing. And we don't tell enough of those stories.
True.
And we have to remind persons that there's someone who, and as men, we got to know someone sat in our shoes at one time. Like you mentioned, your coach. Somebody sat in our shoes at one time, and now it's our turn to be in those shoes. And then someone's gonna come after us
That somebody
to be in
and,
those.
and really I feel so blessed into being been able to work with some of these great young coaches that are out there now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jason Bates and Mike Bates and Charles Jefferson. You know, just to to sit on their bench and help them out and contribute to what they're trying to accomplish. That's to me, that's the biggest blessing I've had in this whole thing, is to be able to contribute to see these guys making that impact on young people.
Yeah, and it's truly is a blessing just watching them, and so I want to thank you for your commitment. For staying on the battlefield. I know one time I looked up, I walk in the gym and you're coaching freshman boys at Afrocentric. Man, you know how hard that is. Freshman ninth graders who know it all. But it was just a blessing watching that and watching how you just continue to educate, just continue to encourage, and just continue to have an impact. So I want to wish you and your family blessings, and I'm just so thankful to have met your acquaintance, and God is truly blessing the Jackson family, and I look forward to the great things. So thanks for joining me today and issuing that challenge to men, how important mentoring is.
All right, Tim. Hey, again, I feel blessed on being here this morning, man. Woke up this morning, so I'm doing good.
Amen.
So, blessings to your family.